Guess who's back for another season?
Dig Drive DIY!
Autumn in the Midwest is my favorite time of the year. There's a sense of urgency knowing that you're going to be cooped up inside all winter, so you try to make up for it by being outside as much as possible, even if it is a little chilly. But the weather change for us means that it's the start of chore season, firewood season. So we heat our house, our garage, and my workshop with this outdoor wood boiler. So I did a really long, detailed video about our stove and the heating system last year, but if you're new here, let me give you a real quick overview of how this all works. So the outdoor wood boiler is surrounded by a giant water jacket. The fire inside the box heats up the water, and then the water travels underground through buried pipes into our house where it flows into a radiator that's installed in our furnace. When the thermostat calls for heat, it kicks on the fan in the furnace, and then the fan blows air across the radiator, which circulates the warm air throughout the house. So you notice I said furnace? That's because this is, in fact, a propane-fired furnace. And in the fall, when it's still mostly warm during the day, we can use propane sparingly on those chilly nights. And the same thing's true in the spring when we let the fire go out. But the propane is only available for the house. When we want to heat the garage and my shop, we have to use the wood boiler. There's water lines that come from the basement up into the garage, and they're in the concrete on the floor. So it's radiant heat inside of our garage, and it's awesome. Then to heat the shop, there's another set of water lines that are buried from the stove over to here, and they go up into that radiator or heat exchanger. And then when the thermostat in the shop calls for heat, it kicks on the fan, and that blows warm air out here to heat the shop. Well, that's basically how the system works in a nutshell, but I was gonna fire up the stove and I wanted to show you the steps involved in that, but then I realized I really don't have any dry wood. This is all green wood that we've split and stacked this year, but I know there's some dry wood over at my in-laws. I think we ought to go get some of that first, and then we'll fire up the stove. So, all right, I'm gonna head over there. All right, well, there's my little firewood team for today. We're gonna head over to my in-laws where there's some old dry wood and some big rounds to buck up with the Axis here. Should make for a nice afternoon. The weather is perfect. All right, this is some dead ash that's been laying here for several years now. I don't know why we've been putting off getting it, but it's ready to go now. I think this will make good starter wood for the beginning of the season. So we'll see how long it takes us to work up a load of this stuff. Choke on. I got my nephew Trent helping me today. You can put the pin in. I'm gonna lower this down. You gotta raise this up and put the pin in. That's dry. There's nothing to it. haven't got to try this yet, have you? You want to try it?
Sure.
I conned my brother-in-law Seth and my father-in-law Rick to help me out. I think there's a few more rotten rounds down here that I'm going to carry down. We'll finish those up. I forgot to bring a chainsaw. Artillian grapple paired with that splitter is just awesome. You're bringing out the old girl now. 1974? 1974 65cc Husqvarna.
It hasn't been started for a year, so I don't know.
No gas? Okay, we'll put gas in it and then we'll see how it starts. Wire. That log we just cut's full of nails. Look, do you see them? He hit a small piece of wire right there.
How's this getting me?
I don't know what that is. That's newer wire too.
Yeah, it is.
It was just in, oh, I bet it's like a sign that said no trespassing or no hunting.
Could be.
Because it was right near the surface and it's newer. And Grandpa just hit it. We're making these ants unhappy. Thanks so much for your help.
Yeah.
Seth, what was your take on that splitter?
I thought it was fun. It was really easy to use. And it was fast.
Fast?
Yeah.
He doesn't even split too much wood and he thought it was a lot of fun. It's fun. All right, now we gotta go back and get that fire going. It's autumn, all right. Every year I tell myself I'm gonna clean the ashes out at the end of the season in the spring, but I never do. I always clean them out in the fall when I want to build the first fire. Oh, I did kind of clean this out. Yeah, but there's ashes inside, so. I know. Hold your comments. Okay, I usually check the water level, and I can see that the water level's good here. I got the inside cleaned out. I'm gonna go ahead and take a look in the back and make sure that's all cleaned out and ready to go. This thing will be ready to start a fire. So what happens is the ashes in the ash pan kind of overflow the baffle in the back, and I always wind up with a few ashes up here. So I just dig them out by hand pretty much. They don't look as bad this year. If I know that the water level's good, the firebox is cleaned out, and the ventilation system's clean, the stove's pretty much ready to go. So now I can move on to trying to start this thing. There we go. All right. I basically start with a cardboard box, fill it up full of shredded paper, and get the fire started with some small stuff and kindling, and we'll be cooking here in no time. All right, so we'll get this fire started now, and then I got to turn the electricity onto the stove so that it runs the pumps and the blower fans. So with the power onto the stove, the circulation pumps flow all the time. It's constantly pumping water to the house and to the shop. So now that we got power here, we can turn this switch on, and since the water isn't up to temperature, it'll kick on the fans and it'll try to bring the fire up to temperature. So let's go ahead and kick it on, and that'll flare up our fire too. Here goes, chunk. So our starting water temperature is 54 degrees. As we start stacking wood in the lean-to, I always put the weird and goofy pieces to the side, and they're the first ones to go into the stove. It looks big, but it's not heavy. All right, let's back the trailer load of wood in here so we got something to fill it with. A few of these ants are going to have a bad day. Okay. To 72. All right, back up once. All right, stove's going. Now all I got to do is wait for it to get up to temperature, and then we can switch over the propane to the wood boiler. Now we just need to come up with something else to do, but I think the girls have something in mind. Hey, we're just driving around in the neighborhood. Looks like there's a party going on.
Go.
You guys ready for this party?
Go faster.
Go faster? It's fall party time. Zombie containment area. Hey, Ryan. Girls are ignoring it. It was good. Did you guys have fun at the party?
Yeah.
Well, let's check that temperature. I can hear it kind of gurgling and boiling. Ooh, it got really hot. It's up to 200. So since I didn't have the furnace going in the house, there was nothing to take the heat out of the water. So what I need to do now is switch the furnace in there from gas over to the boiler. And there's probably a better way of doing this, but this is what I have to do. So I have two different wiring configurations. When I'm on propane, it's wired up this way. When I want to switch to the boiler, I move the white wire from this terminal to this terminal, and that will prevent the igniter from turning on and burning propane. There you go. If somebody knows of a better thermostat or a way that I can make that happen without having to do that in the fall and the spring, then that would be pretty helpful. Somebody else had to tell me how to do that, so thanks, Jason. Now we can turn up the heat. There we go. Let's check this. See, I got the thermostat set to 57, but it's already 61 in here. I'll set it on 62 or 63, and that'll put some heat in the floor of the garage. And now we're in the shop. You can throw a little heat at this too. Well, there you have it. We are officially into the firewood season, or chore season, because now I'll have to feed that stove every morning and evening for the next 6 months, but I could use the exercise anyway. So anyway, thanks so much for clicking on this video. I hope that you liked it. If I'm lucky, I'll see you in the next one. If you're watching this the week of October 16th, 2022, then this week I'll be in Louisville, Kentucky at the Equip Expo, and you can come over and meet us if you want. I will be there on October 20th and 21st, 10 a.m. each day in the Artillian booth. So thanks to Artillian. If you want to come meet me or Tractor Time with Tim or Rock Hill Farms or a Ritter Bit will do, we're all going to be there. I hope you can make it. I'd love to meet you. Thanks so much for watching.